Imagine waking up one day and realizing that fear no longer runs your life. Not because the world suddenly became easier, but because you finally learned how to meet every challenge with calm, clarity, and a steady heart. What if the fears that keep you stuck, the what ifs, the anxious spirals, the quiet dread of losing what you love, were never meant to control you in the first place? What if they were simply misunderstandings your mind has been repeating for years, and you could finally let them go? For more than 2,500 years, Buddhist teachings have helped millions break free from anxiety, overthinking, and emotional paralysis. And today, you're about to learn 6 of the most transformative lessons, timeless wisdom that can shift your mindset, soften your fears, and help you step into a life that feels lighter, braver, and more open. If you're ready to loosen fear's grip and reclaim your inner freedom, let's dive in. Lesson 1 begins with a truth most of us know, but rarely accept. Everything in your life is changing, all the time. Nothing stays still. Not your circumstances, not your emotions, not even your fears. Yet fear grows strongest when we try to hold on to what cannot be held. We cling to our job, our health, our relationships, our identity. And the moment we sense any of it slipping, anxiety rises like a wave we can't control. Buddhism calls this anicca, impermanence. It's the simple, universal reality that every moment is in motion. Look at the seasons, a growing tree, or even the light passing across your room as the day changes. Nothing remains exactly as it was. Fear appears when we forget this and demand permanence in a world designed to shift. When you believe life must stay stable for you to feel safe, your mind becomes hyper-alert. It tries to predict, control, and prevent every possible change. But the truth is freeing. Everything is temporary. Your joy, your pain, your confusion, your fear. And when you stop resisting this flow, fear loses its sharp edges. Impermanence doesn't mean you'll lose everything you love. It means everything moves, transforms, evolves. Just as difficult moments fade, so do heavy emotions. Your fear today is not your fear forever. Once you see that, you stop thinking, I must control this, and begin saying, I can adapt to this. So how do you practice embracing impermanence? Start with gentle observation. Notice how each breath rises and falls without you forcing anything. Watch the sky shift throughout the day. Feel how emotions come and go. Like visitors knocking at your door, they appear, they stay for a moment, and then they leave. When your mind jumps into overthinking, imagining worst-case futures, bring yourself back to what is real right now. The ground beneath your feet, the air entering your lungs, the moment you're experiencing. This is the only place life truly exists, and the only place fear begins to soften. When you learn to see impermanence not as a threat, but as a natural rhythm, fear no longer feels permanent or powerful. It becomes something you can move through, with steadiness, with understanding, and with far more peace. Lesson 2 asks you to look directly at something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. The fact that fear is often nothing more than a story your mind is making up. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. You're perfectly safe, your feet are planted, the wind is calm, and nothing is pulling you forward. Yet your heart pounds, your palms sweat, and your mind screams, what if I fall? Nothing has happened. Nothing is threatening you. The danger exists only in your imagination, but your body reacts as if it's real. That's how fear works. It's not a fact. It's not a prediction. It's a thought, a mental pattern your mind replays whenever you step into uncertainty. Fear lives in anticipation, not reality. It's the shadow cast by something that hasn't even happened. And here's where everything shifts. Fear becomes powerless the moment you shine awareness on it. When you stop running from the feeling and simply notice it, oh, this is fear. This is my mind imagining something that isn't real. The shadow begins to fade. Fear also shows up most intensely when you're growing. When you apply for a new job, start a relationship, speak your truth, change your habits. The mind panics because you're leaving the familiar. But that fear isn't a warning sign. It's a growth sign. It's proof that you're expanding beyond your old limits. So instead of asking, "Why am I scared?" try asking, "What part of me is evolving right now?" You are not the fear you feel. You are the awareness watching it rise and fall. And when you identify with the awareness instead of the fear, you stop being controlled by every anxious thought that appears. Here's a simple practice. When fear comes up, don't argue with it. Don't try to suppress it. Just recognize it. Here is fear. Let it be present for a moment. Let it breathe. Then bring your attention back to what is real, not imagined. This alone is enough to dissolve half of fear's power, because fear cannot survive direct awareness. Once you see fear for what it truly is, an illusion made of thoughts, you unlock the courage to move forward, even while the mind whispers its old stories. Lesson 3 brings us to one of the most powerful tools in Buddhist practice: mindfulness, sati, the art of being fully here, fully aware, without judgment. If fear is born in the past and the future, mindfulness is what pulls you back into the only place fear cannot survive: the present moment. Think about it. Fear is almost never about what is happening right now. It's about what might happen. What if I fail? What if they leave? What if something goes wrong? Fear is a story, and your body reacts to that story as if it's real. Your chest tightens. Your breath becomes shallow. Your heart races. The mind imagines danger, and the body follows. Mindfulness breaks that loop. It's the pause between the fearful thought and your reaction to it. It's the moment where you step out of the story and simply witness what's happening inside you. Here's how it works. Sit still for a moment and notice your breath moving in and out. Don't force it. Don't judge it. Just observe. Then bring your attention to your body. Notice the heartbeat, the rise and fall of your chest, any tension, any warmth, any vibration. You're not trying to change anything. You're simply watching. When fear arises, acknowledge it gently. Here is fear again. By labeling it, you separate yourself from it. The fear becomes something happening in your experience, not the identity you live inside. Mindfulness teaches you that you are not the panic, not the thought, not the story. You are the awareness witnessing it all. And something extraordinary happens when you witness fear instead of fighting it. The intensity drops. Your nervous system softens. The mind stops spiraling because it no longer has your full attention. With practice, this becomes your default response. Instead of being swept away by every anxious thought, you return to your breath, your body, your presence. You realize that the moment you're living right now is almost always safe, and fear loses its authority. Mindfulness doesn't erase fear overnight, but it transforms your relationship with it. You stop reacting, you start observing, and in that gentle shift, fear begins to dissolve. One breath, one moment, one awareness at a time. Lesson 4 dives into a truth at the heart of all Buddhist teaching. Fear is not a flaw in you. It's not a sign that you're weak, broken, or behind. Fear is simply one expression of dukkha, the universal experience of suffering that every human being shares. Dukkha doesn't mean constant misery. It means the uneasy, restless tension that exists in life because everything is uncertain, fragile, and always changing. And fear is one of the most natural responses to that uncertainty. Fear of losing someone you love, fear of being rejected, fear of failing, fear of death. These aren't personal failures. They're part of the human condition. When you understand this, something softens inside you. The fear you carry stops feeling like a private burden you must hide or fight alone. Instead, you begin to see it for what it truly is, a universal thread that connects you to every person who has ever lived. Everyone has felt the same trembling before a difficult conversation. Everyone has felt the same tightening in the chest before taking a risk. Everyone has lain awake at night wondering what the future holds. When you realize this, fear loses some of its power because it stops being your problem. It becomes simply a part of being human. And that shift, from isolation to connection, brings its own kind of healing. So the next time fear rises, remind yourself gently, this isn't just happening to me. This is something every human heart knows. You are not weak for feeling fear. You are not wrong for feeling fear. You are simply alive. Seeing fear through the lens of dukkha creates space for compassion. Compassion for yourself and compassion for others. And in that compassion, fear begins to loosen its grip. Because when suffering is seen clearly, without judgment or shame, it transforms from something heavy and frightening into something you can face with steadiness and understanding. You are not alone in your fear. You never were. Lesson 5 reveals one of the deepest roots of fear, tanha, the craving, clinging, and grasping that tie us to people, roles, and outcomes, as if our entire identity depends on them. Fear doesn't appear out of nowhere. It grows wherever we cling too tightly. We fear losing our job because we cling to success for security. We fear losing a relationship because we cling to love for identity. We fear losing status because we cling to approval for self-worth. Attachment is the invisible thread that connects desire to suffering. The Buddha taught that when we hold on too tightly, when we demand that things remain exactly as we want, we create the perfect conditions for anxiety to flourish. Because deep down, we know that nothing we cling to is truly permanent. But here's the shift. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean becoming cold, distant, or uncaring. It means learning to enjoy life without gripping it with fear. It means participating fully, loving deeply, and striving boldly, without collapsing when things don't unfold exactly as you imagined. Non-attachment is emotional freedom. One way to practice this is to shift your focus from outcome to effort. Instead of obsessing over whether you'll succeed, pour your energy into showing up with integrity. Instead of fearing rejection, be fully present in your relationships and allow them to grow naturally. Instead of trying to control every detail, trust that life will move in its own rhythm. Letting go doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. It frees you from the exhausting job of managing every possibility, every emotion, every outcome. And once that grip loosens, fear has nothing left to hold on to. Try this gentle reframe. I don't need to control everything for things to be okay. I don't need to cling to be secure. I can care deeply without losing myself. When you stop clinging, fear dissolves. Because fear cannot survive in a mind that has learned how to let life flow. Lesson 6 explores a quiet but powerful truth. Fear often grows out of impatience, the desperate need to know, to fix, to control what hasn't yet unfolded. In a world that moves fast, we forget that life itself is not meant to be rushed. And it's in this rushing that fear takes root. We fear uncertainty because we want answers now. We fear delays because we want progress now. We fear discomfort because we want relief now. But the Buddha taught that patience, khanti, is the antidote. Patience isn't passive. It's strength. It's the ability to stay present, grounded, and steady even when the future is unclear. And when you cultivate patience, fear begins to lose its urgency. Think about how fear rises when you don't know how things will turn out. Your mind jumps ahead, imagining catastrophe, trying to force clarity where clarity hasn't yet formed. Patience interrupts this cycle. It reminds you that life unfolds in its own time, not yours. Patience also teaches you to tolerate discomfort. Fear often feels unbearable not because of the threat itself, but because we panic at the sensation of fear. We don't trust ourselves to handle it. But when you allow yourself to sit with discomfort, even for a few breaths, you discover that fear ebbs and flows like any other emotion. It doesn't destroy you. It passes. And perhaps most importantly, patience softens the fear of failure. We judge ourselves harshly, expecting perfection or instant transformation. But growth takes time. Healing takes time. Change takes time. When you become patient with yourself, you remove the pressure that fuels anxiety. You stop demanding that you be further along than you are, and fear loosens its grip. Try reminding yourself, I don't need all the answers right now. I can move slowly. I can trust the timing of my life. With patience, fear no longer feels like an emergency. It becomes something you can walk with, breathe through, and eventually rise above. Lesson 6 brings us to a virtue that sounds gentle, yet carries incredible power. Khanti, patience. In Buddhist teaching, patience isn't something soft or passive. It is a form of inner strength, the quiet backbone that helps you face fear without collapsing under it. Most fear is rooted in impatience. We want clarity now. We want progress now. We want relief now. And when life doesn't move on our timeline, the mind spirals. This is where 3 major fears appear: the fear of uncertainty, the fear of delay, and the fear of discomfort. Each one grows louder the more urgently we demand control. But patience dissolves this urgency. When you cultivate patience, you teach your mind to slow down, to stop chasing answers that haven't yet arrived. You begin trusting the natural rhythm of life, understanding that not everything is meant to happen instantly, and that not knowing is not a danger. Patience also expands your capacity to sit with discomfort. Fear often feels unbearable because we immediately try to escape it. But when you allow yourself to feel fear without running, just breathing with it, witnessing it, you discover something surprising. The sensation softens. Fear rises, peaks, and falls like a wave. You don't have to collapse with it. And then there is patience with yourself, a part so many forget. We judge ourselves harshly, expecting instant healing, instant confidence, instant transformation. But real change takes time. When you let yourself grow slowly, without punishment or pressure, the fear of failing begins to fade. You can practice Khanti by reminding yourself, I don't have to control everything. I don't have to rush this moment. I can hold steady even when things are uncertain. Patience connects all the previous lessons: impermanence, awareness, non-attachment, mindfulness, into one lived truth. You can allow life to unfold, and as you do, fear naturally loosens, leaving behind a calmer mind, a steadier heart, and a deeper trust in your own path. As we close this journey, remember what these 6 lessons have been pointing to all along. Fear isn't something you have to erase. It's something you learn to understand, witness, and gently rise above. Impermanence teaches you that nothing you feel is final. Awareness shows you that fear is often just a story. Mindfulness brings you back to the present, where fear holds no power. Understanding suffering reminds you that you are never alone. Letting go softens the grip of control, and patience gives you the strength to move through life with trust and calm. You don't need a fearless life. You just need a different relationship with fear. And that shift, the inner freedom, the courage, the quiet strength, already lives within you. If these teachings brought you clarity or comfort today, feel free to like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more wisdom just like this. You have the power to loosen fear's grip and step into a life guided by peace, presence, and true inner confidence.